Hi, I'm Mike Greiner, and I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is going in. If you share my concerns, then maybe you could like this video, subscribe to my channel, and maybe even hit the little bell there that will notify you when I post a new video, because I'm going to try to post videos pretty frequently. There's a lot to be said in this environment that we're in. So I wanted to talk today a little bit about cancel culture, because I am basically sick of hearing about cancel culture and conservatives complaining about cancel culture. Cancel culture is a fake issue, very much the way the conservatives have made the supposed war on Christmas into an issue. There is no war on Christmas, I'm here to tell you. It is a fake issue that's been created to create some kind of sense of victimhood again among white supremacists, people who want to maintain power and who want to protect that privilege that they've enjoyed and have always had, and kind of want to stay in charge. The only way that they can do that is by creating these issues, making it seem that they are not the ones in power, that they are not the ones with all the privileges, and that they are somehow victims of an out-of-control culture that is trying to silence them. What is cancel culture? Well, for the life of me, I actually don't know. Allegedly, it has something to do with the liberal elites who are silencing conservative voices, especially on college campuses. But what makes it seem like this is just a meaningless phrase at this point is not too long ago when the winner of the Kentucky Derby race was tested and found to have drugs in his system. The trainer claims that he was being victimized by cancel culture. Now, what does a horse race have to do with conservative commentators? What do the people who run the Kentucky Derby have to do with the liberal elites? Either of these questions, I don't know the answer to, and if you do, you're a much better lawyer than I am. Obviously, cancel culture at this point has basically become a means for people to protect themselves when they're accused of doing something which, under any other circumstances, is inexcusable. If you have a college professor who makes certain outrageous comments and with the pure intent of hurting people, and when these comments are not thoughtful comments based upon research and instead are based purely upon ideology, and then that person gets disciplined or silenced because of what they're saying, then the conservatives are quick to claim cancel culture. But I'm here to tell you, as an academic, as someone who is a college professor, who works among tenured college professors, and who, more than that, works in the business school. I teach business strategy and business law, and if there is any field in academia where conservatives are comfortable, it's in the business school. And I can tell you that anybody in the business school, conservative, liberal, moderate, does not matter. If they are making arguments that are soundly based upon their research, that are soundly based upon logic, and not based purely on baseless ideology, that person does not get canceled. In fact, those are the very people that tenure is there to support. For those of you who don't know what tenure is basically a system where after a certain number of years, if a professor has shown themselves to be a good, solid researcher, they are granted certain protections from firing. What are they protected against? Well, they are protected against firing because they say unpopular things. So rather than protecting people who are not good academics, the way some of the conservatives claim, what tenure really does is it protects the academic superstars, the people who challenge the status quo, the people who say the unpopular things that eventually might actually change people's points of view. That is what tenure is meant to protect. And those scholars, believe me, none of them have any fear of supposed cancel culture, because what they're doing is that they're doing real research. They're trying to understand difficult issues. They're making nuanced arguments based upon this research, and they're open to hearing counter arguments from other academics. People like that have nothing to fear from cancel culture. The people who do have something to fear from cancel culture, again, are people who make baseless ideological arguments that really are not aimed at trying to expand knowledge, that are not aimed at trying to make people think about things, that instead are trying to close minds. Because you have to understand, the role of academia, the role of the university is to try to expand minds, to try to increase dialogue, to try to make people think about the circumstances that we're in and the possible fact that we may have misconceptions, that our biases may be blinding us to certain things that are actually the truth. And the truth is what we are trying to search for in academia. So let me give you some examples here of what is really cancel culture. And it's not the liberals and the progressives trying to silence conservative voices. A real example of cancel culture would be the example of Nicole Hannah-Jones, who is a great scholar, who is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, who won a MacArthur Genius Grant and led the effort by the New York Times to explore America's history of slavery. She is the kind of person who we want in academia, who is willing to challenge preconceptions and look into difficult issues and do intense research on those issues. As it turns out, the University of North Carolina agreed. They recruited her and brought her to the campus. The department was all in favor of granting her a tenured position to try to allow her to continue with this important research. However, when her nomination got to the Board of Trustees, essentially a group of politicians, her request for tenure, the request for tenure that was supported by basically everybody at the university, everybody who actually does academic research and cares about freedom of scholarship, all these people were overruled by the Board of Trustees, who said, no, we are not going to grant her tenure. Her crime? The fact that she is raising these difficult issues and exploring these difficult issues of American history. That's scholarship. So if we're going to turn our backs on it and say that we're not going to study those things, then what is the role of the university? The role of the university should not be simply to parrot back accepted views of the elites. That's what Donald Trump and the Republican leadership want. No, what academia is supposed to do is to challenge thought and to bring up difficult issues and to think about them and to discuss them and to research them and to possibly come up with solutions that ultimately help all of society. I mean, let's face it, when Albert Einstein came up with his theory of relativity, he was challenging the dominant thought at the time. And if he did not have the protections that academic freedom gave him, then people might have said, no, we don't want to hear that, what you're trying to say, because you're going to upend the apple cart. You're going to make us change all these textbooks that we have, that we've been teaching these students from for all these years. So instead of that, what we want to do is we want to silence you. That's cancel culture. That's what was done to Nicole Hannah-Jones. And it was not done to her by the liberals. It was done to her by the conservatives, who are the real practitioners of cancel culture. Let me give you another example. There's a student out at Stanford University, at the Stanford University Law School, who put out a parody of the Federalist Society. The Federalist Society, for those of you who don't know, is a conservative organization that operates on most law school campuses. There was one at my law school where I went. And what it does is it advocates conservative views. And it has been the source of many of the nominees who have ended up on the U.S. Supreme Court appointed by Republicans, including, of course, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, and Amy Coney Barrett. So this person posted something, I believe online, making fun of the Federalist Society. Rather than responding with humor, the Federalist Society was angry and filed a complaint with the leadership of Stanford University. What did Stanford University do in response? They made it so that he was not able to graduate on time. They took away his opportunity to graduate with his class. That is not what academic culture is all about. Satire is one way to challenge the dominant views. It's why the kings used to like to have jesters around, is that you want to have the people challenging your point of view, bringing up unpopular opinions, and making it so that you have to think things through more thoroughly. That's the role of academics. This person who posted this satire was playing the role of an academic by bringing up a view that was a different view than one that was accepted by many of the people in power. And the response by the people in power was to silence him. And that is exactly what academia is opposed to. And so any claim that there's this cancel culture environment on academic campuses is purely a lie. It is something that is made up by the conservatives to create this sense of victimhood, that they are somehow being persecuted by the liberal elites who are in charge. And the reality is that those very people who are claiming that they are being canceled are the ones who are in charge across the country. And so any claim that they're being persecuted really is a false flag operation. And so what I'm doing is I'm calling on all people to reject this claim that, oh, there's cancel culture out there. The media, many in the media have accepted this argument that somehow there is this bad view of canceling certain unpopular views on campuses across America, and that is simply not a fact. The people who are being canceled are simply people who are expressing views that are without basis, that are purely ideological, and that are meant to hurt people. Those people are simply being held accountable for the words that they say. They are not being stopped from expressing opinions that are based on sound logic and sound research in academic debate. But what we're seeing is this claim of cancel culture is basically a way to defend themselves. It's why the trainer of the horse who won at the Kentucky Derby claims that he was a victim of cancel culture. It's just a way to try to avoid responsibility for the bad things that you do. So enough is enough. I call on the media to finally stop treating this as if it's some kind of legitimate claim and treat it for what it is, which is a false issue being created by conservatives to try to drive people over toward white supremacy and to try to silence arguments against the dominant culture in America. So with that, if you agree with me or disagree with me, I'd love to hear your comments in the in the area below. Please post them. I read every comment I get, and I love to hear from my viewers. Also, if you are interested in this channel, please subscribe, like this video, and hit the little bell that will give you notifications so you'll be made aware whenever I post a new video. And together, let's try to create a channel here where we can talk about some of these issues and maybe try to advocate a more progressive agenda for America. So I look forward to seeing you next time, and until then, hopefully we'll see some progress in the right direction. Thank you.